For numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can simply type these into your calculator to get an answer because they are all numbers. So if you do 16 to the 3/4, you yield an answer of 8. So if you wanted to see it with the work, it would be the 4th root of 16, and then you would cube that. So it would end up being 2 to the 3rd power, which is why your calculator is giving you 8. Number 2, you can do the same way in your calculator. When you input it into your calculator, you will get 3. Number 3, you can do the same way, input it into your calculator, but I will show you this one worked out. It will be the cube root of 27 squared. So the cube root of 27 is 3, squared is 9. Again, remember, you can just input it into your calculator. Number 4 is the 5th root of 32. And then you're going to cube that, so it ends up being 2 cubed. So the final answer is 8, but you could use your calculator. Okay, for number 5, 6, 7, and 8, you have to decide what to do with the exponents. When the bases are written separately, you're going to add the exponents. So in your calculator, or in your however you add fractions, you're going to do 1/3 plus 3/4, and you end up with 13/12. In number 6, you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to take 2/3, add 1/5. You're going to end up with 13/15. In number 7, you're going to fix the negative exponents. So that's going to go to the top, and that's going to go to the top. So you have an x to the 2/3 and another x to the 2/3 on the top. And you have a y to the 3/4 and a y to the 1/4 on the top. Then you add your exponents. Add those together to get 4/3. Add those together to get 4/4, or just 1. Number 8, you're going to distribute in this 5th power. So you'll do 3 to the 5th, x to the 25th, and y to the 5th. And you're going to multiply it when you distribute. 3 to the 5th is, use my calculator, 243. X to the 25th, y to the 5th, and then that's all there is to that one. Okay, number 9, we are going to get a common base. However, we could use a logarithm if we wanted to. So 2 to the x stays as 2 to the x, but 32 gets rewritten as 2 to the 5th. The 2's on each side kind of cancel each other, at least that's what we say, and then we get x equals 5. Number 10, the common base is not 9, the common base is 3. So 9 is 3 squared, and 27 is 3 to the 3rd. Then you bring down their exponents. So 9's exponent is 2x minus 1, and 27's exponent is x minus 5. Then the 3's cancel, and we have 2 times 2x minus 1, which is 4x minus 2, and 3 times x minus 5, which is 3x minus 15. Add 2 to both sides. So you're going to add 2 to these. So you have 4x equals 3x. And when you add 2 to negative 15, you get negative 13. Subtract 3x from both sides. So you end up with 1x equaling negative 13. You can divide by 1, but you'll end up with negative 13. Number 11. There is no common base, so we're going to need to use a logarithm. So you'll do log with a little itty bitty 2 of 9 equals x. So the base is 2. Then your calculator does have that log feature under math. There it is. You're going to put a 2 here and a 9 here, and your answer is it says 3 decimal places, so 3.170. If you don't have the log base change, you can just do a regular log of 9 divided by log of 2, and that's going to give you the same answer. And you can do that on a typical calculator without a scientific calculator. Number 12, you're going to do log with a little 4 of 73, and that's going to equal your exponent of x minus 2. You can type that on your calculator, and then you're going to move that 2 over, so you'll add 2. So we have, I'm going to do that log base thing if you have a nice calculator. If you don't, just do the division like I showed you. 4 and 73, get an answer and add 2. So 5.0, let's see, we're doing 3 decimal places. So 5.095 when you round. Number 13, we'll do log with a little base of 7 of 164 equals 2x plus 1. Type this into your calculator, subtract 1, hit enter, divide by 2. And that will get x by itself, the subtracting 1 and dividing by 2. Log base 7, 164. So we end up getting an answer of 2.621 equaling x. Remember, if this is multiple choice on the final, you can take that and plug it in for x and verify that it is correct. Do the same thing on 14. Log 2.1 of 9 equal x. Nothing fancy, just type it in. And you get 2.961. Number 15. Log with a little 6 of 59.2 equal 3x. So once we type this into our calculator, we'll still need to divide by 3. And then divide by 3. And we get 0.759 for x. Okay. Number 16. 16 draws back on your Algebra 1 skills. You're just going to add 4 to both sides, so you get 60. Divide by 10 and you get 6. Nice and simple problem there. 17, we have to distribute. 2a minus 10 equals 6a minus 54. Add 10 to both sides. 2a equals 6a. When you add 10, you get negative 44 minus 6a. Negative 4a equals negative 44. Divide by negative 4, a is 11. So as you can see, some of the final is simply just your Algebra 1 skills coming into play. Number 18, you have a lot of distributing. I would suggest distributing the 2 and the negative sign inside the brackets. So you have 3 with 2x minus 8, lose a parentheses, minus x plus 5, lose a parentheses, keep the bracket, 5x minus 5 when you distribute. You can either distribute your 3 or combine your like terms here. It doesn't matter. I'll combine like terms, so I get 1x minus 3 equals 5x minus 5. And if you look at my other answer key, my handwritten key, I actually distribute the 3 in. It doesn't matter as long as you end up with 3x minus 9 equals 5x minus 5. Okay, so now I'm going to add 9 to both sides. I'm running out of room, so I'll move right up here. So add 9. 3x equals 5x plus 4. Subtract, oh sorry, I didn't realize I was down there. Subtract 5x, so you get negative 2x equals 4. Divide by negative 2. X is negative 2. Number 19. Distribute your negative sign into the parentheses. 3a minus 10 plus a equals a plus 2. Combine your like terms. 4a minus 10 equals a plus 2. Add 10. When you add 10, you get 12. So we have a plus 12 over here. Subtract a. So 3a equals 12. Divide by 3. A is 4. If you need to slow down the video for that, go ahead and do that. But I think most of you are okay solving for x. Okay, distribute on your 5. 5x minus 15. Distribute in your negative 3. So that's negative 6x minus 12 equals 0. Combine your like terms. negative 1x minus 27 equals 0. Add 27, divide by negative 1. Remember, you can always plug x in to verify that you are correct. Or you can just look at my answer key. Okay, distribute in negative 10. Combine your like terms. Subtract 45. Divide by negative 10. Alright? And I'm going to guess that most of you are okay with 16 through 21, just because those are Algebra 1 skills. Okay, number 22. We're finally on the second page. Okay, we got to get a by itself, so we're going to square both sides. Squaring this side just turns it that a minus 3 equals 64. There we go. All you're going to do now is add 3 to both sides. You should check your answer by plugging 67 in. If you do, you can verify that it does in fact work. Number 23 is going to be much more difficult. Number 23, we have to get the square root by itself. So we're actually going to keep 5x minus square root of 5x minus 1 here. But then we're going to do 4 minus 2x on this side. Now when we square this side, it's the left side is easy. You just get 5x minus 1. But when you square the other side, please don't distribute your squared. I see a lot of kids do that, and it's just wrong. You have to write it twice and distribute it the whole way through. So we're going to get 5x minus 1 equals 16 minus 8x plus 4x squared. Now we set everything equal and to 0 and we combine our like terms. So let's start with combining our like terms. 4x squared minus 16x plus 16. Now set it equal to 0. 4x squared, you're going to minus 5x, so you get minus 21x. You're going to add 1, so you get 17. And then you do your quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. We did this a lot in chapter 5, so it's probably pretty fresh in your minds. All over 2a. Okay, let's keep working that out. So it's 21 plus or minus the square root of, let's see, 21 squared. Oh, I bet that was loud in the microphone. 21 squared minus 4 times a times c square root of 169 all over 8. That's 21 plus or minus 13 over 8. 21 plus 13 is 34 over 8. And 21 minus 13 is 8 over 8. That means my two answers are 17 over 4 and 1. Both of which you need to plug in to verify. There you go, sorry. I'll give you a second to catch up. You should verify by plugging these in. You will notice that 17 over 4 does not plug back in. I will show you why it does not. So let me put my calculator right here. You plug it back into the original. So 2 times 17 over 4 plus the square root of, what does that say, 5 times 17 over 4 minus 1. If it plugs back in, I'll get an answer of 4, which I do not. If you plugged in 1, you will get a true answer. Number 24 is the exact same as 23. We're going to take that y to the other side. So it was negative 7 square root of y equals 12 minus y. Then you square both sides. This is going to be 7 squared, which is positive 49, and then the square root of y squared just turns into y. And then you have 12 minus y times 12 minus y, just like you did in the previous problem. This is from chapter 6, section 5, if you feel like this is something you need to review. And it does come on the final. So 12 times 12 is 144, minus 12y plus y squared. That's 49y. Combine your like terms, y squared minus 24y plus 144. Subtract 49y to set it equal to 0. Let's see what would that end up being. Okay, so it's negative 24 minus 49. Oh, I made a mistake way up top. That's excellent. This should be a negative 12. So that's a negative 12, that's a negative 12. That's a positive, that's a positive, that's a positive. There we go. So change your 12s to negatives. Change these 12s to positives. Change your 24 to a positive. That way when you take 49 to the other side, you get a negative 25y. Sorry about that. Plus 144. Not so sorry that I'm going to redo the video. Okay. Let's do the quadratic formula now. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. You can't see that. That's okay, you know your quadratic formula by heart. 25 plus or minus, let's type this in the good old calculator. So we get square root of 49 all over 2. That's 25 plus or minus 7 all over 2. 25 plus 7 is 32 all over 2. 25 minus 7 is 18 over 2. That leaves us with 16 and 9. If you were to plug them both in, they both work out. And you should definitely make sure you do that because there is one on the final where one of the answers plugs in and one does not. Alright, moving on. We got some more Algebra 1 stuff. We're going to find the equation of the line, slope, intercept. We know y equals mx plus b. So this one's giving us m and it's giving us b. So it's pretty easy. Y equals negative 5x plus 7. That's it. Alright, a lot easier on those ones than the previous ones. Okay, the next one we're going to try it again. So we get y equals mx, so 0x plus b, so minus 5. Please correct that, get rid of the 0 term. Y equals negative 5. Okay, we're going to make another problem. You can do y equals mx plus b, or you can do point slope form. I prefer point slope form for this one because I'm given a point and a slope. So I do y minus 7 equals m times x minus 4. Point slope form will be a formula provided on the final. So you do y minus 7, distribute 4. Okay? Add 7 to both sides. So you end up with y equals 4x. Negative 16 plus 7 is negative 9. It doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get to y equals 4x minus 9. Okay, number 28. We have to find the slope because it's not given. So there's the setup for slope. Put negative 4 and 3 on the top. Put 7 and 8 on the bottom. So you get negative 7 over negative 1 when you subtract, which reduces to a positive 7. That's your slope. I like point slope form, and I'm going to do it with 8, 3. So I'm going to do y minus 3 equals 7 times x minus 8. You absolutely could have done it with the first point. I just like using positive numbers. Okay, distribute in your 7. Add your 3. And that's the answer, 7x minus 53. Excuse me. Number 29, find the slope of the given lines. So the easiest way to do this is to set it equal to y. So do 5y equals negative 3x plus 9, divide by 5. Y equals negative 3 over 5x plus 9 over 5, because you're dividing each term by 5. So in this one, the slope is negative 3/5, because it's in front of x. Do the same thing one more time. It's 2 problems for the price of 1. Negative 2y equals negative 7x plus 4. You always have to solve for y. Divide by negative 2. Y is positive 7 over 2x minus 2 when you divide everything by negative 2. So the slope is 7 over 2. Number 30. Find the equation of the line. So we're going to do point slope form again. You can see how important point slope form is. So this time we do y plus 5 because it would be minus a negative. Equals 4 times x minus 3. If you're interested, this concept was covered in Chapter 2, Section 4, if you feel like you need to review it. 4x minus 12, subtract 5 from both sides. That would be 4x minus 17 when you subtract 5. I can guarantee you that there's problems on the final like this. The next one, find the equation of the line. One more time. Find the slope, 6 and 3, 2 and 4. Subtract it out, 3 over negative 2. Put the negative in the front or on the top. That's your slope. So now we're going to do y minus 6. I'm picking the 2, 6 point. Equals m, so negative 3 over 2, x minus 2. And this is point slope form, but we're going to distribute in our negative 3 over 2 to our x, and then that will make a plus 3 when you distribute to negative 2. Add 6. And you have your final answer. Again, I can promise you that this will show up on your final. Alright, we're getting closer. Solving systems. A lot of you guys liked elimination, so I'm going to solve this using elimination. Please keep them in standard form, so that when you're going to have 2x minus 11y equals 1. And this one we're going to need to add the 3x to the other side. Positive 3x, positive 2y, negative 17. Excuse me. You're going to pull the Mr. Travel Piece trick where you put a 3 here and a 2 here. And since you have 4 positives before my fingers, you're going to make one of them negative. Distribute in a 3. That's 6x minus 33y equals 3. Distribute in negative 2. Negative 6x minus 4y equals 34. Combine your like terms. The x's cancel. Negative 37y equals 37. Divide. Y is negative 1. I can again guarantee one of these is going to be on your final. Put the negative 1 into any of the equations from before and solve for x. I'll just put it into this 2x minus 11y. So we have 2x minus 11 times y, which is negative 1, equaling 1. And this is like the last step. So you get 2x plus 11 equals 1. Subtract 11, 2x equals negative 10. Divide, x is negative 5. And you can plug those x's and those y's in to verify that they are correct. Alright, let's move on to the next fun field problems. When you have two things multiplied like this, see how there's no adding and subtracting? You just multiply your big numbers together, and for the a and b, you add your exponents. So I have a total of a to the third, b to the fourth, and oh, there's a c hanging out. Number 34, when you have a squared in the back, you're going to square everything inside. So negative 6 squared is 36. A to the third squared is 6, like you multiply your exponents here. B squared is 4, multiply your exponents, and c to the first squared is c squared. That's it. Number 35 does the same exact thing, but it does it with variables. So you do 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Okay, so I have x with an n and x with an n. So when you add those two n's, you just get 2n. Now I have a y with a 2n and a y with a 2n. So 2n and 2n makes 4n. So you add your exponents, multiply your big numbers. Number 36. You're going to do 4x times 3x to get 12x squared. 4x times 5y to get 20xy. So negative 9xy. And negative 3 and 5 is negative 15y squared. Combine your like terms, 12x squared, 11xy, minus 15y squared. You can't combine anything else, so leave it alone like that. Number 37 is a little more difficult. So you're going to you might want to draw your arcs on this one. That makes 2a to the third. That makes minus 3a squared b. That makes positive 2ab squared. That makes minus 4ab. So just have to be real careful with your exponents. Positive 6ab squared. One more. Negative 4b to the third. Now you're going to combine all your like terms. So 2a to the third. Let's see, do we have any other a squared b's? I feel like I might have missed an a squared b. I think it was this one right here that I'm pointing at. Yes, which was this one right here. That 4 should have an a squared b right there. That should have an a squared b. Alright, so that makes more sense now. You're going to put those together to get minus 7 a squared b. Put these together to get 8 ab squared. And then your last term is minus 4b to the third. Oh, now we get to factor. Factoring is fun. So you pull out a t. Always look for a GCF. There will be a problem on the test with a GCF. That makes t squared minus 16. This is the perfect squares if you want, oopsie. I almost write pretty instead of perfect. This is perfect squares. So you keep the t and you take their square roots. T plus 4, t minus 4. That's it. That one's factored. Now number 39 has 2 exclamation points on it because, well, kids miss it a lot. I'm going to write the wrong answer that kids pick on this one all the time on the test. They'll pick a minus 4 to the quantity cubed. Yep, that's definitely not right, so don't pick that one. That's a perfect cube, so it's a small parenthesis and a big parenthesis. This is from chapter 5, section 3, if you need to review it. You take their cube roots, a and 4, and then you take those and you square them and put them over here. So a squared is a squared, 4 squared is 16. Put those together, 4a in the middle. And your signs are same as the original, different than the original, and plus. You're not solving it, you're just factoring it. That does not factor anymore. Number 40 really resembles one on the final that I see a lot of kids miss. Take out the x squared, that's the GCF, so you get 2x squared minus 19x plus 9. This does factor. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to do 2 times 9 is 18, and then it needs to add to negative 19. So you do a times c is 18, negative 19. So your numbers are negative 1 and negative 18. If you didn't know that, you might just have to kind of wrestle with that until you get it. So 2x squared goes here, 9 goes here, negative 1x, negative 18x. If you factor by grouping, you would just set your line up now. So this would be x minus 9. This would be 2x minus 1. So your final answer is the x squared from the original, x minus 9 from the box, and 2x minus 1 from the box. There's no need to solve those because the directions just say factor. Please make sure on the final, when the directions say factor, that you don't solve them, that you just factor them. Now these ones do say solve, and what I want you to notice about every single one of them, you can use the quadratic formula because they're all, well, squareds. They're all quadratics. So set it equal to 0. And if you haven't liked the quadratic formula now yet, it's about time that you do. So you get negative 9 plus or minus square root of, what's so exciting, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it's negative 9 plus or minus the square root of something. Let's figure out what that something is. I didn't use parentheses since it was positive. If it was negative, I probably wouldn't use it. I'd just make it positive anyway, because that's what happens. Square root of 49, which is good because it's a perfect square. So I get 7, and now I add. Negative 9 plus 7 is negative 2 over 4, and negative 9 minus 7 is negative 16 over 4. Final answer, negative 1/2 and negative 4. So exciting. Number 42, let's do it the same way. Yay! 3p squared minus 13p plus 14 equals 0. And because we just got done with chapter 5, I'm sure your quadratic formula skills are outstanding. Positive 13 plus or minus square root of negative 13 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So it's 13 plus or minus the square root of, let's find out. You can put that in parentheses or just make it positive like I did. Yay, square root of 1. So it's 13 plus or minus 1 over 6. So 13 plus 1 is 14 over 6. 13 minus 1 is 12 over 6. Final answer of 7 over 3 and 2. Always reduce. If you don't reduce on the final, you will get half credit. When not, will just stink. Okay, number 43. You are more than welcome to factor it if you want, or we'll just do negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4a. Ooh, c is 0. That'll actually be nice for us. All over 2a. So it's negative 14 plus or minus the square root of 196 because of that 0 over 6. That's negative 14 plus or minus 14 all over 6. Well, when you add, you get 0 over 6. When you subtract, you get negative 28 over 6. Final answer is 0 and negative 14 thirds. So exciting. Yay, we're on the back page. Number 44, common denominator time. Common denominator is 6, 5, and 10. You could do this differently, but you guys, I think you liked it when I did 6, 5, and 10 there. So this A needs a 10 and a 5. This 3 needs a 6 and a 10. This 3 needs a 6 and a 5. So when you do 10 times 5 times A, you get 50A. When you do 6 times 10 times 3, you get 180. Equals, when you do 6 times 5 times 3, you get 90. So then we'll have 50A equals negative 90, divide by 50, negative 9 over 5. Ooh. Okay, number 45. And yes, there will be one of these, probably more like number 46 than anything else on your final. Okay, common denominator is a 3 and a 4. Broke my pencil, I was so excited. This needs a 4, this needs a 3, this needs a 4 and a 3. So we do 4 times a minus 2 minus 3 times a plus 4 equals 144 when you multiply all three of those numbers together. Distribute in a 4, so you get 4a minus 8. Distribute in a negative 3, so you get negative 3a minus 12. You get 1a minus 20. And that's 1a equals, let's see, when you add 20, 164. You can divide by 1, but you're going to end up with 164. Good, that's correct. I have my answer key beside me. That is correct. All right, before I start number 46, I feel like I just need to apologize for number 46 because it's a lot of fun if you like math. Okay, common denominators m plus 2, m minus 2, and 3. This needs an m minus 2 and a 3. This needs an m plus 2 and a 3. And this needs an m plus 2 and an m minus 2. So I'm going to carry this 2 down. Actually, I'm going to carry down a 6 because 2 and 3 make 6 with an m minus 2. And then I'm going to carry down a minus sign and a 3. Oh geez. An m plus 2 and an m plus 2. And this right here is why this problem is miserable. Equals, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. 7 with an m plus 2 and an m minus 2. So you're giving the numerators everything they were missing from the denominator. There's a lot of distributing that happens. In fact, we're going to probably work our way down the paper here. That's 6m minus 12. That one's not so bad. But then what you have to do is you have to take this minus 3 and still keep a set of parentheses for m squared plus 2m plus 2m plus 4. So since I'm writing super tiny, there it is. I had to put these two parentheses together. And then you're going to carry down your 7 with an m squared minus 2m plus 2m minus 4. And then you have the joy of distributing some more. Okay, so you're going to get 6m minus 12. I'm just going to draw an arrow. 6m minus 12. Again, I'm probably going to put the paper in screen. There you go. Then you're going to do minus 3m squared. Then you're going to do minus 6m minus 6m. Then you're going to do minus 12. If you have big handwriting, maybe you just want to like work your way down, or just, I'm sorry. That's all, just I'm sorry. Okay, then we're going to distribute in your 7, but the good news about the 7, I think I can zoom out here for you, is that these two m's cancel each other, because one's positive, one negative. So when you distribute in a 7, you get 7m squared minus 28. Again, I'm coming. There you go. Combine your like terms, and then we'll set it equal to 0. So it's going to be negative 3m squared minus 6m minus 24. You check my answer key. That is correct so far. Equals 7m squared minus 28. It's getting more simple. Set it equal to 0. So I'm going to take this 3m over. So I'm going to put this side as 0. So I have a positive 10m squared, a positive 6m, and when you add 24, you just get a negative 4. And now we can do the quadratic formula. I feel like you're good at the quadratic formula, so I'm just going to kind of solve it, and I'm going to assume that A, if you don't know what you're doing, you need to ask, and B, hopefully you just do know what you're doing. But just make sure you ask if you have questions. The quadratic formula, if you haven't noticed, I've used it so many times today. You can probably see it's going to be used a lot on the final. Okay? So let's go ahead. We have 196, which turns into 14. Negative 6 plus 14 is 8 over 20. Negative 6 minus 14 is negative 20 over 20. So when you divide by, when you reduce, what do we end up with? 2 over 5 on this one, and negative 1 on this one. I can promise you that the rest of the next two problems are not that difficult. I can also promise you that there's one like number 46 on the final. Sorry. Okay. Okay, common denominator in 4, 7 is a y, a 2, and a 4. Some people struggle thinking that it's a y, a 2y, and a 4, but when they're monomials like this, you just have to bring the 2 over from the middle one because there's already a y. Okay, so the 3 doesn't need a y, but it needs the 2 and the 4. So the 3 essentially just, okay, ready? The 3 needs a 2 and a 4. There you go. The 1 needs a 4. And the 5 needs a y and a 2. Alright, so when I bring things down, 3 times 2 is 6, times 4 is 24, minus 1 times 4 is 4, and 5 times y times 2 is 10y. Look how much better this problem is than any of the others. So that's 20 equals 10y. Divide by 10, 2 equals y. Now something I didn't do on the last problem that I really should have done, but I'm not going to, I'm just going to assume that you're going to do it. You should have plugged these in to make sure they both work. You should also do the same thing on 47. It works. 48, we're almost done. Divide by 81. And take the square root. Please remember your plus and your minus. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 81 is 9. And I'm done.